Welcome to the New Year Brouhaha. Thomas, how are you?
I'm doing okay. That was a great name you came up with this time. I did not have a good N word for New Year or a J word for January that we already hadn't used, so this is a good one.
I thought about that. We don't need to rhyme it every time, and there's plenty of other things. And I do want to make them unique each time and not reuse, except for the mayhem in Minneapolis, which we'll have to continually do. It'll be round 3 in the fall when we do it again. So,
and March Massacre just kind of, it's really going to be a bloody event,
Yes, yeah. Well, it's the melee.
There you go.
Yeah. It's the kinder, gentler. So, well, very quickly, and you can see my screen all right? Is it still sharing? All right, excellent.
Good.
It's always good. Very quickly, some introductions. My name, Christian Buckley, the founder of CollabTalk. We are an independent research and technical marketing services company based in Lehi, Utah. I'm just literally 5 minutes away from the Microsoft offices here. And I have a 7-time 7.5. It would have been my 8th MVP this month. Became an MVP in 2012 in the Office Apps and Services, and I'm also a Microsoft regional director. Nobody knows what that is. That's okay. I've always been passionate about end user productivity, and so that's kind of my my stake in this, and partnered up with Tom on these. And Tom, let you introduce yourself.
I'm Tom, as you can read on the screen. I work for Canby Health Solutions, which is based in the Pacific Northwest, but I actually live in Minneapolis and work remote, which was a change I made this year. I don't have all the MVP credentials, so this would look like pretty much a really mismatched event here when you look at it on the surface. But so far, I'm holding my own here.
Yeah, then you look at the score and you're like, oh.
Yeah, but what happened is I started doing tips internally, and then I had some people, when I'd share an occasional one external, they were like, wow, can we subscribe to that? And so I ended up starting a website called 1 Minute Office Magic, and I've been sharing my tips out there. And when Christian found that, he's like, how did I not know about this? And we teamed up, and we're having a lot of fun with these events.
Excellent. And all right, well, let's jump in. I think people will get that if you've not participated yet. Just very quickly, we're going to go through rules of engagement, and then we're going to jump right in. And for those that are attending, if you have questions, feel free to use the QA tool. Ask questions. We will try to answer throughout. If one of us is not speaking, we're kind of monitoring the questions, and we'll try to address those as we go. But again, we're going to try and get through all this here the next 45 minutes, definitely before the top of the hour here. But the rules of engagement. So because, yes, we could just sit here and use this time and go through 1 through 10, but we thought it'd be fun because we do sometimes do this live, and we also make those recordings available. And this is our 10th bout.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the other 9 recordings are all available out on YouTube. So if you go out on YouTube and you go to the CollabTalk page, and you'll find the playlist for all of these. I'm also going through on the blog. Oh, and Tom, update. I'm going to be surfacing all of these via a free little interface through Power BI.
Oh, cool.
To make the tips searchable. So if you're looking for word tips from these sessions over time, as there get to be hundreds of them, you'll be able to go in and search and find them, and links back to the articles like on Tom's blog or my blog or wherever that source material comes from. So we'll be making that resource available in the next month or so.
Okay.
But we take turns in this format. We go through and this bout. We do 5 rounds, each of us sharing. There are no duplicates shared. And so for those that joined us last month, because part of the reason for cataloging is keeping track of what we've done. And I don't know if you run into that, Tom. I just ran into that. I'm like, hey, I need to share this one. Oh, we shared that 2 months ago or 3 months ago. And so I didn't add it this time. I went and made sure.
I do my tips. I actually store them in a OneNote. And
well, there you go.
As a result, based on the little notations I make, Theoretically, I will never repeat one.
Right.
Theoretically.
And so it's good to keep track of what both of us have done, so that we just make sure that, hey, this is not an overlap. It might be that there's new capabilities added on. That's valid.
Right.
But you got to point that out. But the audience votes after each round, and so we'll do a quick poll. Get your votes. We say no hitting below the belt, but there is some friendly trash talking that occasionally happens.
He can't reach below my belt because I'm much shorter than he is, so it's legal.
And then we have that winner based on overall voting, and we'll share the stats where they stand today, and then I'll provide that. We do provide, again, the recording will be out there live after this. It's being live streamed right now via Facebook, but we'll also update the slides, push those out there. If you have any questions about what we've shared or other ideas, please get in touch with both Tom and myself. We'd love to hear from you. We always we love to be able to point to where this data came from, where these great tips came from. So happy to give you full props for sharing that information. And so with that, I'm going to get started as I usually do. Here is the controller of the slides. But we'll do that, and we'll be back and forth. So it'll be me first, Tom, and then Tom will lead round 2, followed by me, and we'll just go back and forth. Let's go. Tom, any questions, any comments from you?
Nope, I'm ready to follow you up on this one.
All right, and let's make sure I didn't have my transition here. Well, here's one that I thought is a good opening salvo. It's a change that's out there. You've probably seen this out there, but it's the new Office app for Windows 10. Everybody seen it? Tom, you've seen it? You played with it?
I don't think I have.
What? Office.com. So you probably seen some of the news around this. That Microsoft realizes that there has, and I think this is part of the broader conversation around, are people adopting and using the tools that they have available? And you hear commonly from people within your own organization, it's like, I didn't know we had these tools. And even within the Office suite, like, what is the best thing to do? And the other half of that, so that's part of it. The second part of that is, remember that thing called Delve?
Yes.
And the problem with when Delve went live, and it was this personalized my site search portal that used the machine learning and AI capabilities to surface what was I working on, what was just shared with me, what did I share out there.
Information was finding you instead of you having to go find it.
Right. Well, and a lot of people said, well, what happened to Delve? There's been no changes. Well, part of the problem with Delve when it went live is that most people went and it turned on, and there's very little information being surfaced because there need to be additional signals, more data into it, and it also learns from your usage over time. With all that, people had a less than satisfactory experience with Delve, so Microsoft, they learned from that, but they also recognize that it's more than that was like an experiment. That was an app that wasn't an end-all be-all solution, and they're actually taking the learnings from what they built with Delve and incorporating that into each of the standalone applications within the Office suite and within Office 365. And they're also folding a lot of that learning into the Office.com, this Office app experience. So for Windows 10, what's nice about this is that you go in and you see all of your apps. You see all of the latest materials that you worked on, that were shared with, kind of all those different things, what needs to be updated. And so it can be, for some people who want to have this experience, a quick view into what was I just working on, or what I need access to, and be able to go and pull those open very quickly. And it has, again, all of that advanced search capability, and it does rely on, it's a free thing. It's out there. Use it with your Windows 10. It is being rolled out now, and so not everybody have it. Like my personal tenant doesn't have it yet. I'm on one of my client tenants, so it's not a guest access, but a full tenant, and it's there. They have it through that login. So that's something. If if you're not sure if you have it, you can go just office.com and take a look at that. What's nice about that, once you go into it the first time, you sign into that experience, you get into that. Now, since I don't yet have it through my tenant, I'm not on the fast ring because, well, let's just say that I just got fixed from dog fooding something that was not yet ready for prime time and caused problems on my system. And
I
so
was a little scared when you said you just got fixed and followed up with the word dog. That really scared me there for a second, Christian.
Yeah. But here's kind of the selling points here, about quickly switching between apps and that kind of thing. So it's another interface in which you can be more productive to find what you're working on and launch that integrated search experience. And there's been a lot of news around kind of the next gen of the search experience across Office and Office 365. And some of you know, like Naomi Moneypenny, good friend of ours, and that was an MVP, and she joined Microsoft. And so she's now over working on this team. And so a lot of her, when you see Naomi's name pop up, it's all search related, AI related, and largely associated with this app with the office.com site, and a lot of what's happening behind the scenes, she's got her hands in. So that is mine. So the Office app for Windows 10, and Tom, I'll let you take control back over.
Okay. Yeah, I really want to check that out because
yeah, you should check out if your tenant has that. Maybe someone from your team that's on can go take a look and message you and let you know.
Yeah, because that's one of those things where like with Microsoft Teams, I much prefer the client as opposed to the browser.
Yeah.
And it seems like it takes forever for portal.office.com to open up. I'm thinking having an actual app for Windows 10 that you can launch makes a lot of sense. So I'm looking forward to playing with that one.
Yep.
My tip is using the read aloud feature in Outlook. So we're on a semi-annual release for the Office Pro Plus stuff because of interactions with other pieces of software and stuff like that. So we don't see all the latest and greatest as soon as it rolls out. But yesterday I got a, upgrade, to the latest version. I did. And this read aloud feature popped out as part of the things that came out in, it was January 8th or so. And I thought this was really cool because I had seen it before in Word and actually shared that tip in Word, but now it's also available in Outlook. So what you can do is if you go to your Outlook options and you go down to ease of access, you have this application display options, and you just select the little box that says show read aloud. In my case, it was clicked by default. So I didn't go out here looking for it. Just all of a sudden I was like, oh, what's that new icon up in my ribbon bar? And then when I did a little bit of research, I saw where you had to go through and actually set this. Mm-hmm. So when you set that, what happens is you see this read aloud icon, and it shows up both in the preview pane and if you've actually opened the message as a standalone window. So you're going to get it in either situation. And when you click that, it just starts highlighting the words as it's reading, and it actually sounds really good, except when it gets to a URL, because then it goes https://techcommunity. And if you get into the situation of Microsoft releases the service, it's like, yeah, let's get past that. But still, it also shows you a play bar here. And so basically what that's giving you is the option to rewind if you missed something or somebody called you. You can pause and restart, fast forward. Then you've got this options icon here, which we'll look at in a second, plus the X to turn it off. And there's not a lot of options that you can set. I would assume over time this might end up actually expanding somewhat, but it does allow you to change the reading speed. So if you are one that likes to hear things faster because you can digest it faster, you can go ahead and update it. Normally it's set at about halfway, and that sounded really comfortable. And then they give you 3 voices, where David's a male that has a lower pitched voice. Mark is a male that has kind of a somewhat higher pitched voice. You'd think of maybe as a younger person. And then Zira is the woman in the mix here, and she's got a very pleasant voice to listen to. I was almost excited because when I first looked at that, I thought Ziva, and being an NCIS fan, I was like, wow, Ziva can read my, oh no, Ziva's not reading my emails to me, darn it. But you've got your different voices you can select from. They're all really good. I personally don't think this is something I would use a lot, but I did have somebody comment on this tip on Facebook, I think, the other day. And they said they love this because when they're in the car and they're commuting into work, they can use this to just have their emails read to them, and they can digest stuff instead of having dead time that they can't do anything.
Now, I have to say that, having the experience that if you've ever used your mobile device and had the other services of the kind of a read aloud of your emails via, I know both Apple and Google have versions of that, and the translations are incredibly bad.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. I mean, they're I've got a good friend, Jeff Roski. I think, Tom, Jeff, and he and I have this running inside joke because of a bad voicemail transcription that got read back that had me laughing as I was driving, and saved it off, sent it to him, and then we keep quoting back pieces of.
I hope they never fix that, because that is an endless source of amusement to me.
Yeah. It's almost like the modern day Mad Lib,
Pretty much so. Yeah, there was one with somebody else I was talking to, and the manager left a message to the employee, which was, give me a buzz when you have a sec. Okay? When you have a second, call me. It came across as, give me a buzz when you have sex. I'm like, God, that's a classic. I love that one. So yeah, but this is really good, and given whatever your situation is, you may find this one really useful for yourself.
Launched poll number 1. So the Office app and the read aloud. The other thing, and while people are voting there, let me just say that, hey, Tom, I've got an article that was from February last year, so it wasn't part of our series here, but where I wrote about and I shared a bunch of resources around the read aloud and Microsoft's plans.
Oh, cool.
So I'll send the link. We should maybe include it within your slides as another link, and take a look at some of the other resources. Obviously, February last year, the Outlook wasn't part of it,
right.
But it shows you, it talks about some of the other ease of access features, and specifically around the read aloud through the other Office apps. So
okay.
All right. Well, it looks like, Tom, you won that round there, 71%. So I'm going to just end the polling, and we'll jump to the next round 2. So
thank you, everyone. Second tip that I have today is related to Microsoft Stream. And if you're not familiar with Microsoft Stream, that is the video platform that Office 365 uses for serving up videos, obviously. It's replacing, what was it, Office 365 Videos, I think was the name of it.
Correct. Yeah.
And they're getting really close to a point where they're telling you, guess what? You get to migrate now. Hint, hint. You have to migrate right now into Stream, and Office 365 Videos is basically going to go away. But anyway, we've started using this as part of our Office 365 rollout. Really, really like it. It's a great package. There's still a lot of things that it needs to improve on, and they've got roadmaps for the things. And at first I was like, I don't know that I want to use Stream because there's all these things that they still haven't done yet. But I got too focused on the things it wouldn't do versus the things it was doing very well. So we went ahead and rolled it out. One of the things that's really cool about this is when you go to your Stream page, you see all these channels where you can load videos to be able to say, hey, I want to go to a channel for Office 365 videos, and see all the videos that fit that criteria along with the description of the videos, the whole bit. And what you can do with these channels is they have the option to follow the channel. So if you see, like on your home page, you'll see the little channel card here, Office 365, how'd you do that, which is a little internal series that we're doing. And you'll see like a red follow button. And if you click it, it'll say following, which is basically telling you that you're going to be able to see when there's new content out there. And I'm going to little caveat in there in just a second. And if you are following something and you don't want to follow it any longer, you can just click the button again and it will turn back to the red follow. So that's really nice. If you're actually in the channel itself to see a list of all the videos, you can also click the follow here. And again, that works out really nicely too. When you go to your home page on Stream, this is kind of an example of what you'll see. Here at the top, you're going to see your followed channels. So I'm following our Business Briefs channel. I'm following our Office 365 How'd You Do That channel. And I can see very easily that I've got a new item in the How'd You Do That channel. And in terms of, and this is where I put the caveat in, it does show you the new tag there. And it shows you a little yellow dot next to the video that is new. So that's good. What I don't like and what I was very disappointed with is when we dug into this a little bit more recently, I was expecting it to send you an email saying, hey, there's a new video in a channel you're following. It doesn't do that. And that's a feature that's been requested quite frequently, and I know that they are aware of it, but right now you don't get that notification. So you do have to go out to Stream, take a look at your followed channels, take a look at the little new button there to see, or the new tag to see if there's anything out there. And you can quickly zoom in on what you want to view. Again, it's not as nice as having something pushed to you, but it does make it very easy for you to see that there is new content for you to go follow and look at without having to go through and say, do I remember that one? Do I remember that one? Do I remember that one? So this is a good feature if you're using Stream.
And it would also be interesting to, I don't know the question, know the answer to this, is whether it shows up as surfaces on that Office app as well, and those new things.
Good question.
Anything, if it highlights, does any kind of notification there. So that would be something like that too. Because Microsoft is trying to be very thoughtful about that kind of cross workload, across these different applications, those shared experiences, because it's not just, and this is something that, it's traditionally, historically, the Microsoft model, you had the battling business units and very cool features that happen in one product, and then a very different experience with similar capabilities in another product. And that is largely going away, where you see a consistent handling of these common actions across the applications, especially in the Office 365 world, where you have, for example, probably one of the most clear examples is making sure that the OneDrive experience looked the same as the file management in SharePoint, the lists and libraries, that they all look the same, right. That the actions, if you're going to share it, the share buttons are in the same place, the buttons look the same, those kinds of experiences. So
yeah, OneNote always had a slightly different feature set than the rest of the Office suite did.
Right.
That kind of bit.
All right. So this is one where, again, it's one of those things where I would use this constantly especially if you're putting together multiple decks for multiple constituencies. You're talking with end users versus your management team, or you are product manager or in marketing, or that side where you have multiple sets of slides that are out there where you're constantly refining, taking feedback, going and modifying other presentations. And what Microsoft has done is it makes sense, rather than, and I just did this yesterday, last night, this morning, have multiple PowerPoint decks open, trying to find the slides I want, and then copying slides in between decks. So I have like my v.next deck here for these productivity samples, these examples that I want to share. And I build that deck out, and I've got about 20 items that I add to. So I go to one place as I find cool things that I might want to add in one of these sessions. And but then I have my deck that has all the slides, the rounds, kind of all the other information. That's the formal deck that I'll share out, and I want to move slides in between. And so now what they've done is essentially up, and you can kind of see in the screen here, up in the top left, just in the home screen, you've got that new slide. Well, what's missing now from my view, so this is being rolled out this month. It's happening right now. So some of you may already have it on your tenants, but you have this reuse slides button. And that will then allow you to go in and it'll suggest, again, it's leveraging the AI capabilities of what's similar around this topic and what you've pulled from. So it's looking at the content that's in your current deck on that current slide. It's allowing you to go and select from, but it's also pulling up suggestions and then presenting them on the left. And then you can then go in and just drop these slides into that deck.
Nicely done. For you, I can't imagine anybody who would benefit from this more than you would with all the work you do along that.
There's so many that, this is a fairly common scenario. And you think about this, there's a lot of when you think about productivity, sometimes it's shaving seconds off of your time, which add up to minutes, which really make an impact on your day if you're having to click through, open up, drag and drop between. And so the more that you're able to streamline between these things, you have similar capabilities with the research tools in Word, where you're doing a research paper, and we all know about adding citations and adding references to that side of it. You can actually then pull up other content and search through that content, do a search, find content, a quote embedded on page 27 of a previous, report, and cross-reference other reports and documents and have it properly cited within the one that you're working on. Well, similarly here in PowerPoint, you want to be able to quickly and easily move between these other, digital assets, these other slide decks, without having to go and open up File Explorer, search to which deck was that, and explore each of those. So it just makes it a lot easier.
Nicely done.
So let me do this. I will launch the poll for poll 2.
Tom had the stream and the follow, and Christian had the reuse slides feature in PowerPoint.
Yeah, and there is, again, I'll share the link. We'll make sure that there's some of the references with stream. There's a lot of cool things. One other thing I would encourage you to go do, if you've not already subscribed to the YouTube page where all of these are hosted, and I would encourage you to go do that. If you go out to YouTube and search on CollabTalk, you'll find it, all of these. But there's also a series that is a relatively new series. We're recording a couple more episodes this month, but called Loop 365. And Noah Sparks, good friend, and I, we interviewed the Stream product team. And so there's some great insights in what's happening with Microsoft Stream from that video. And it looks like I've got 86%.
Wow, that was a freaking massacre.
So thanks everybody for voting on that one. And let me jump into the next one. And you still see my screen, everything good?
Yep.
So here's one there's a ton that's happening around ease of access. And yes, it's another PowerPoint one. I use PowerPoint a lot, but there's some very cool stuff that's coming to PowerPoint. This is something I have to say is that, a lot of the features that are, we've seen in like Word and other things and OneNote, and love those. And some of the questions were always like, why can't we have similar editing capability and sharing and things with PowerPoint, with Excel, with some of these other applications? And again, we're seeing like these consistent, features across the various, productivity Office suite, the productivity tools. But here's a great example of the ease of access, the live captions and subtitles in PowerPoint. And so this is, again, it's leveraging the AI. It's going in and looking at the content and then allowing you to do live captions and subtitles as you're presenting to people. And so it's, as you can see from right above, it's going live with 12 spoken languages. 12 spoken languages and display on screen up to more than 60 languages. And it's all launching this month. And so this has started to roll out already. I've seen some internet chatter around it. Again, I don't have it in mine, as I explained. But this is one of those things when you think about if you've ever presented into a place where you want to have, you want to be able to support people that are not, English as, native speakers. I've done a couple presentations where there's been like the Skype translation services. There's actually this other site. I've got to go take a look and see if it's still out there. And Tom, I know we've talked about this before. I did a presentation in Sacramento a few years back where I had some Spanish speakers that they were sitting there. Somebody was translating, sitting there translating with them. And we went and opened up this Skype translator service, this other dedicated site. And I had my Surface Pro, the camera, facing on me, and it was actually doing the live translation as I was talking directly in their app. So they then put on earbuds and were looking and watching their screen and it doing the real-time translation.
Felt like you were at the United Nations.
Right. I mean, that's what it felt like. And I was sitting there at the community college there in Folsom, California, doing this. It was very cool. Anyway, this is building into the into PowerPoint. So as part of the subscription, you see that live captions, subtitles, and PowerPoint rolling out this month. The versions that are out there, but go take a look at this. If you are presenting to a mixed language audience, whether online or in person, and being able to provide that capability, it's pretty incredible. And there's nothing more that you need to go and buy outside of the subscriptions that you already have. That's pretty amazing. Now, with all of these features, and like as Tom kind of showed with the Read Aloud, you go and you enable that, you identify which languages to support, but turn that on. And so that's something, maybe, Tom, we should even think about once we have that, and using that within these sessions as well.
That'd be cool. That would be cool.
Okay, Tom, over to you.
Okay, this was something that it's very simple, and I kind of ran into it. I thought, this is cool. My user base really liked this one. So what happens in Outlook a lot of times by default is you look at an email, you decide to expand it out to read it, so you double click on it, you get the email window here, you're reading it, and of course it shows up as a separate tab on your taskbar down in Windows 10, and all that's really cool. Then you hit reply or reply all or whatever to respond to it, and now what you end up with are two email windows open, which you're thinking, okay, fine, what's the big deal? Which normally was the way that I kind of looked at it. And you go ahead and you respond, and then you click send, but you still have that original email window open. And as one gets older, one tends to not exactly remember why I had a certain email open, and or did I really respond to it, or was that just a fantasy that went on in my head? So what you end up with is, like up here in my taskbar, you end up with various emails that are open, and then you're thinking, okay, can I close all those? Did I still have actions? Did I open one and not respond to it? Well, what you can do is you can go into Outlook, go into your mail options under replies and forwards, and you can go ahead and have it close the original message window when replying or forwarding. So when you do that, what you end up having is when you have your email open and you click on reply or forward or reply to all, it automatically closes the email that you had open, and the only thing left open on your screen is the email that you're actually doing the response on. So it cleans up a lot of the screen clutter. It doesn't leave little messy piles of email opens all over your page that you then have to go in and close down and eventually clean up everything, so you're not totally overwhelmed with the visual aspect.
But this is that's exactly what I was talking about, is these little things. You're thinking, why somebody go and spend time and building a feature that doesn't do all these new things? That this is the kind of incremental productivity improvement that just you don't realize how many extra clicks that you're doing and closing down various emails that opened. It's great to have this.
Yeah, and some of the times you don't even think about the fact it's a problem because you've just lived with it for so long that you've been beaten into submission.
So
And this
are we
was one of
talking
the
about
ones,
our automobiles now?
something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So this was one when I first saw it, I thought, well, I'm going to use it as a tip, but it'll just probably be one of those tips I use that I probably won't receive any comments on internally. This was one tip that I got probably in the upper 10% of numbers of responses with people going, oh my God, this makes my day so much easier. I'm like, oh, wow. So cool tip if you haven't used it, or if you're tired of trying to remember what exactly you did with an email when you opened it 4 hours later. This is something you may want to go out there and turn on to kind of keep things clean as you go.
And I just launched the poll. And so this is the live captions and subtitles in PowerPoint versus closing the original emails in Outlook. And yeah, I love these little tips that just clean up some of that baggage. I actually just ran into this last night where I was sending out I think 80 different emails, like personalizing emails out to. It was a user group thing out to
Right.
sponsors, that kind of thing, and I had just a ton of emails open as I was setting those up, and was going through and closed down Outlook out of my giant screen, my main screen, and see, oh, there's still a dozen emails.
Did I or did I not process those?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Gave that one last person to push you up to 80% there, Tom.
I thought it was close and you were hoping for that one vote that was going to tie it
Well,
up.
it was 79, and then that last, I'm going to close it down, and they vote for you. I'm like, well, I should have closed it.
Oh, too funny.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, that's
okay.
awesome.
So I will go on to round 4, and we'll get the pace here since 9:45. I'm sure to get there. This tip right here was, oh my God, a lifesaver for me. Because while I do stuff with Excel, I will play the clueless card here and say, I am really not good at Excel. And one of the things that has befuddled me in many instances in the past is you get a column in your spreadsheet and it's numbers, and you highlight the column and you say format numbers, and Excel goes, ha ha ha, you puny mortal, it's still text. And in this particular spreadsheet that I have here as an example, this was one where I had a bunch of website sizes listed out, and they were numbers, and I don't know why Excel decided to treat them all as text. So when I was trying to sort, lowest to highest so I could pick off some of the low-hanging fruit, I couldn't get it because all I was getting was the 9s and then the 8s and the 7s, so on and so forth. But gosh, how do I get these all to be numeric? Well, you can use a option that you have in Excel that's not entirely intuitive for this thing, but it works really, really well. So in this case, I had my size column that's text, but I want it to be numeric. So I went ahead and highlighted that column. And then I went out to the data tab and looked at text to columns. Now I use text to columns a lot to change things from a row into, or a single cell into separate columns based on semicolons or stuff like that. And that's all that I ever thought that was good for. But in this particular case, I highlight the column, I click on text to column, and then click finish at the wizard. That's it. And when it comes back, everything is now numeric. I don't know why it works that way. It's not intuitive as to why it works that way. But I'm not going to look at gift horse in the mouth, and I'm going to say, wow, that is really cool that I can change text number values to numeric values with a simple click on one option, and it takes care of everything for me.
That is very cool. I'll say that we're seeing a running theme here with the AI capabilities too.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this often, but so many of the newest, the coolest features. There's a reason why, if you go and look into kind of changes across product teams inside Microsoft, is that there are so many AI-focused teams now, and they are just hiring, right or left in that area. And so here also enabled through, it has AI capability, but this is, I mentioned this earlier, a lot of the ease of access, the accessibility capabilities. There's a lot more than what I'm just showing here on screen. I encourage you to go take a look at this. But there's the new accessibility checker. And what this does, essentially it proactively goes in there when you have this turned on. If you're developing content across multiple applications here, but if here in this example of using Word, if you are creating content where you want to be sensitive to accessibility, readability by a broader audience, where it can actually, you turn this on and it will notify you if there are issues with text, with images, with that you're going and creating in real time. So it's that AI again is going in there saying, hey, you're trying to do this. You need to be thinking about, this is how you're creating this content. I get a lot of criticism, usually from one person. I won't name them. So Mark with Simpraxis Consulting. So Mark, who's let me know a couple times that he doesn't like the fact that my font on my blog and my template, it's hard to read in mobile. I'm like, well, read it on a computer screen, Mark.
Wow, that is a real techie answer.
I know it's on my list of to-dos to go in there and play with it. I like the font. It has kind of a gray to it instead of a black, and it's harder to read. It's thinner. It doesn't look as good on mobile. Yes, I know I need to go find a new font for it. I just haven't done it yet
But it's my website, darn it.
My website, yeah. And it's a little more involved than just changing a font, as you know. But anyway, but it's a great tool. Again, as you're thinking about content that's out there for public consumption, you should think about the readability of that for people that you might have a difficult time reading small text or seeing the detail of an image or whatever, and to have the application prompt you when there are potential issues around the content you're creating is pretty incredible. And there's a lot of other capability. It can send you alerts. There's messaging and prompts that'll pop up that you can set around these capabilities. So if you're really interested in knowing what's going on with ease of access and the accessibility checker, I would say go take a look at the content around this. And I mentioned here that bullet says lower the bullets, because this specifically is talked about further down the page in some of the announcements that were made around this.
Yeah, and this is the thing too, where if you work for the government or different public agencies, you may well be required to do most of these things. So there's always been some level of accessibility checker, and I've kind of looked at it in passing because I am a bad person and I don't pay a lot of attention to that.
That's what I tell everybody. But the difference is having the AI, having it intelligently go in there, prompt you and let you know, hey, this may be, depending on the requirements that you have, this may be an issue. It's something to go take a look at.
Well, and not just this isn't right, and this is how you fix it is the critical thing there.
So this really comes down to if you're, this battle here is between, do you use, is Excel and changing numbers around, is that important to you? Or is making sure that you're open to all users of your content? And so,
gosh, somebody's getting desperate here.
The cold-hearted Excel feature versus the embrace everyone, embrace inclusiveness crowd.
Or on the other side, would you like to vote for a tip that you'll probably use every day versus a tip that you should be using that you're going to feel guilty about not using that's going to add more work to your workday? Yeah. I thought the sad trombone was probably going to make an appearance somewhere in that one.
All right. End polling on that one. Congratulations, Tom.
Woohoo! That was close
on that one.
That was close.
Which also means, Tom,
3-1.
You know that you've won the event as well.
I have.
So at best, I can close out at the end here. So let me share the last one. So Tom, congratulations on round 4. All right. So this one here, and I'm going to try and do the demo here, but this is really cool. So there's actually, let me stop sharing the results there. So, Tom, we've talked about once in a while about Sway, and it's one of those tools that we've not used enough. There's some cool things. I've used it on occasion, but here may be an example of where you use it a little more frequently. So you have the ability to go in and convert Word into web pages with the transform to web. Tom, have you used this yet?
No, but for various reasons, I'm starting to pay much more attention to roadmaps and what's coming out. I've seen reference to this, and it was kind of on my, I need to look at this for a future tip. Now I can just steal from you, so go for it.
Yes, you can just do that. Let me see. Can you see Word now over in the
Yes.
Okay. So here I've just got a, working on something else, working with Spanning, one of the sponsors for this, the team there, and I've got this thing that I put together, but maybe I want to share this in a different way. And so I actually go into, so I'm here in the home, and so I can, I'm going to go into File, and in the Transform over on the left side, so you get a bunch of options. So here I've just taken this plain content. Maybe you've gone in and you've started setting up here. I've got let's do here where I've got the heading 1, and maybe I'm going to do this is just to show the difference here. Heading 2, on a couple examples there. But as I go in and I say, well, you know what? There's some styles over here that I want to look at before I then share this out internally or externally. Maybe this one. Okay, yeah. You know what? Let's go with this one. This one's kind of cool. Click Transform. And so what this is doing is, so it does make sure you have the login. Let me, opening in a browser over here. Let me open this up here. And so what it'll do is, you can see here, it's in a private web page that you can then share out with those that if it's internal only or publicly hosted out there associated with your Office 365 account. And so it will automatically convert those things. And so now I just went and I didn't do anything, play around with this, but you see some little animations. There's different things that you can do and set up very quickly. If you have if you've not played with Sway and just want to make content that you're sharing out, rather than send the boring old Word doc in PDF format, click and open and read this. If you want to add video or insert a Microsoft poll or any other kind of cool features around that, very quick and easy in this privately shared Sway that you can then build just with a couple simple clicks to transform.
So there's a question
Yes.
in the box here. It says, do you have to have Sway activated to use Transform? And I'm guessing the answer to that is yes.
I believe you have to have it, yes. So
Okay.
you have to have access to that to be able to use that capability. And so if you didn't have access, what would happen in that user experience? So back when I went to Transform and I clicked Transform, it does the first check is your login. And so you have to make sure, like I was logged into one of my clients' tenants. And so it identified that. It actually said, well, you've got multiple logins. It can't then log into that. So I had to go log out of that other. I had my incognito into the other tenant, so it was confused about the logins. So it does validate your login that you have then the rights to use the tool, and then does the transform.
Interesting. I would really hope at some point they perhaps expand on this a little bit and let you actually transform your Word doc to possibly save as an HTML page or something like that, because I'm still on the fence with Sway. So
you think about it, so there's different things you can do with Sway. Once it's created there, and then you can save it into different formats. If you want to have a Sway document, which again is it's a slightly different thing than a web page, but it's like a dynamic portable web page. You
True.
can easily then convert a Sway that's the web format into a printable document or a PDF. So
okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different things you can do with the Sway, but again, it's like if you're going to create an ebook that you want interactive with video content, other actionable assets within that ebook, Sway is something that you definitely need to take a look at.
Yeah, that would definitely make sense. I think one of the last times I looked at it, it's been a while, it was like, nope, it's out there. That's it. You're stuck. And I was like, I don't like that because Sway still seems to not have made that, jumping the chasm thing, and I'm still not sure if I want to make that something that I'm opening up for everybody that we will eventually.
Something to be looked at. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Tom, we got 4 minutes left. Over to you.
This one is a fun one. And I will preface it by saying just because you can doesn't mean you should. But if you're trying to do something that's a little bit more eye-opening or gives a little bit of splash and color to either slides or something that you're going to print out, this is a really good way to do it. And it's using graphic effects onto your actual text. So in this particular case, I'm in PowerPoint, and I've gone ahead and done a kind of like a title page, Exploring Space is Fun. And I've gone ahead and made the text like really wide and kind of large because otherwise this isn't going to have too much of a dramatic effect. So if you're doing something like this, it's best to look for wider fonts. But anyway, once you get your text out there on the page, you can highlight it all, go into your drawing tools under text fill, and instead of just saying, hey, I want the text to be blue or something, you can actually select picture. What that then does is gives you the option to either grab a picture from a file, grab an icon if you want to, or you can go online and look for pictures that you would like to use as your text fill properties. In this case, I went ahead and said, let's look online, takes me to Bing, of course, and looking at the different things I had out here, I'm thinking, well, since I'm doing a slide deck on space, I might as well search for space. And I found something that looks kind of cool. It's not very specific, like in a planet or something that's going to be lost in little text images, but this was a nice blue, starry background, galaxy type thing. And when I go ahead and click Insert here, you'll see what it's done is it's taken that image and it's turned it into background for my text. So now instead of having something that is just dull, boring colored text or black text, I've have something that kind of
professional.
Exactly. I am not going to argue that one with you, Christian.
No, hey, so I got a question for you real quick. Can you also do transparency on this?
Not sure, to tell you the truth.
So we'll have to explore that, just because that's something I actually was looking for a couple days ago. So anyway.
Yeah, because if you could do that and then just overlay it on whatever the picture is on your screen, that would be kind of cool.
Exactly.
But yeah, this is something that, again, in the right context, I wouldn't advise using this if you're going in front of your board. But if you're doing something like, hey, we're having a get together after work, or, I want to make a little poster that I can put up there, this is something you might want to look at to give it a little bit more pizzazz.
Awesome. And I've opened up the poll. So if you are, so that again, Tom's was the using text fill for graphic effects in text in PowerPoint. Mine was transforming Word docs into sways. And the polling there. So Tom, congratulations.
Wow, 4-1. I think that's like best I've ever done.
I think you've had a 4-1 before.
Have I?
But yeah, but so anyway, well, appreciate everybody. Tom won the round. Tom,
I really appreciate everyone.
Thanks. Just to let everybody know where we are. So Tom was already most rounds won, so he adds to his lead there. Most events won, he adds to his lead there. Most overall votes, he adds to his lead there. So yeah, thank you, everyone. I feel really positive about this.
It's okay, Christian. I will make sure that next month I try to lower my game.
There you go. Thank you very much. That's all I can add. That's all I ask is for you to not try, Tom. So that
there you go.
So yeah, because there is nothing in life you can't accomplish if you lower the bar enough.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
So with that, please do register for next month. We are on February 7th, same time. There's the link down there. And if you have any other questions, if you have suggestions, other things that you've used that you really like, please share them with us. Contact Tom or myself. take a look at Tom's blog, 1minuteofficemagic.com. He's going through and cataloging almost everything that we cover in detail here. I think you're going in and adding the ones I've shared too, aren't you?
Actually, I have not done that, but
come on.
That's something. Oh God,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm laying them in front of you.
That would be like stealing content, though. And
it's not. It's
okay. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. Anyway, but please also do go subscribe on YouTube. Get notified if you miss one of these sessions. Again, there's a playlist out there for the Office 365 productivity tips, and also take a look at that Loop 365 interview with Stream if you want to know what's going on there, because a lot happening with Stream, and there's going to be more news here later this quarter. But Tom, thanks a lot for another great event. And thanks everybody for participating.
Sounds great, everyone. Thank you very much. And we will see you all next month.
All right. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye, everyone.